Oh.
Sorry, don't mind me. I'm just busy making myself at home. After all, you know what us Northerners are like, right? Well, actually, allow me to be serious for a minute, and I'll tell you what us Northerners are like compared to you Southerners. From income to life expectancy, child poverty through to job prospects, the North fares far worse than the South. Since austerity began, public spending in the North has fallen by £6.3 billion, while spending in the South has actually risen by £3.2 billion. This divide must be taken seriously. It is one of the reasons the Brexit vote happened, and whoever our new Prime Minister is, he must create a new cabinet seat for the Northern Powerhouse Minister. And as far as more devolution goes, we'd happily get on our bike and manage our own affairs. Life exists beyond the Watford Gap, Nick, and if we truly want to make our country the best it can be post-Brexit, we must give the North what it deserves.
Well, Michelle, luckily you took those chips and gravy away. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to speak to you much from feeling so queasy.
Well, luckily for me, they took the pint away.
Right. Well, listen, I agree with you, but actually really frustrated because this is a subject that every successive government and almost every politician or somebody in their cabinet constantly seems to promise to redress the balance in the North-South divide. George Osborne was the last one that did it, and nothing seems to ever blooming happen. And it's just so frustrating for me. I mean, it's so palpable that we have a weighted country, and let me just spell it out in abstract terms rather than facts and figures. But in most countries, let's take the US, their political capital is separate from their media capital, which is separate from their financial capital. So clearly, LA, New York, and DC. We've got all three in one city, and then we moan about congestion, pollution. Wait, hold on. I'm gonna suggest something drastically radical to solve this problem once and for all.
I'm gonna give him a smack in a minute.
Our Palace of Westminster is about to fall apart because it's in the Palace of Westminster is in desperate need of repair. Right? I suggest we relocate Parliament to the north. Relocate our political capital. We don't need those politicians in London anyway. I mean, they need to be closer to their constituencies. Move the political capital up north. London can stay with the rest of the economy because it's a strong economy here. But at least that way we shift some of the centre of gravity somewhere else. I think that needs to be done, personally.
Thank you. I agree with you, Maggie.
Yeah, there we are.
I mean, I completely agree with you, Michelle. I would. Okay, so two things.
Leaving you to last. I'll deal with you.
One caveat, and one thing I don't think goes far enough. The caveat is I don't necessarily want to set up an us versus them divide. You know, you look at some of the most deprived constituencies are in London, 7 out of 20, I think. So it's not as clear-cut, although I do agree with you more broadly. But I don't think you go far enough. I mean, you all sit around laughing when I mention Marxist economics. A Marxist analysis of this would look at the reasons why the North and South, why there is such structural inequality between the two, and apply mechanisms to reduce that. So one of the things you might look at...
What's that when it's at home?
One of the things you might look at, what is it when it's at home, is something like a regional investment bank.
Okay.
So a regional investment bank, because the regions know best for themselves where things should be, where the investment is required.
Do you want to move to socialism?
Welcome aboard, comrade Michelle.
I'm not bored. I'm getting off. I'm getting on a different bus.
Even though this would actually tackle the inequalities that you're talking about, which I agree with.
I'm a fan of responsible capitalism. I wouldn't advocate shifting to a socialist agenda. I think it would be absolutely terrible for
So you don't
country.
think a regional investment bank is a good idea?
No, I don't think we need to have regional investment banks.
Why not, though?
I would say that what we need to do, I agree with you, by the way, I think power is too centralised geographically in London, and I think that is ridiculous for many different reasons. And by the way, if I did relocate it anywhere else, Nick, I'd make sure that you're travelling there on a weekly basis just to annoy you.
By bus.
I think that we do need proper devolution of powers. Yes. We need proper long-term strategies about what we're actually going to do, and we need proper investment in transport links, particularly east to west.
But you're not really talking about investment at all, are you? You're talking about subsidy. What you're talking about is saying there's a pool of money. A disproportionate amount of it generated by London. And this is not London chauvinism. It just happens to be the case that that's how the economics works right now. And what you want is more of that money generated by London to be parked somewhere else. Well, OK, that's fine if you could
That's
show...
not what I really want. That's not
That
what
is
I
exactly
said
what you're
at all.
saying.
No, it's
And
not.
that's exactly what
No,
you're saying.
not remotely.
Because
Not
what you've just
remotely,
described,
Trevor.
Rachel, is what used to be called a command economy.
You have
a bloke
completely misconstrued what I said.
I
London,
listened.
the reason
I
London...
listened to what you said.
Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute.
Let me finish what I said. I listened to what you said, and what you basically are saying, and there are people who believe this stuff. They want somebody in Whitehall to be sitting saying, OK, we've got this amount of tax money, let's put more of it in Manchester, let's put more of it in Huddersfield.
not what I'm saying
well,
at
that's
all.
fine,
Not
if
me.
that's the kind of society you want to live in. But the problem
An
is...
equal society, heaven forbid. The thing is, Trevor, that
how
the
did you
reason...
jump to an equal society from that?
The reason that
Can I just finish what I wanted to say?
London generates most income.
Can I just say one thing, Michelle? I think that there is an imbalance. But my view is I think you've got the wrong one. You're talking about a fiscal imbalance, and you can't... Nobody's ever been able to fix that. The thing that is absolutely true, and you see this in the United States, you see it in Canada, you see it in parts of Europe, the thing that marks successful cities and regions is their ability to bring people from elsewhere. What London has, what New York has, what Los Angeles has, is huge numbers of immigrants who work hard, who make money, who build those economies. Let me finish, last sentence. It is not an accident that London is our richest region, lots of immigrants, northeast, poorest, zilch.
Well, I wonder if we could put Michelle Dewberry's introduction through the fact checker, sneering about me. I need to tell you, my mother was born in Lancashire and moved to Leicester at the age of 4, so I have northern roots as well.
You sneered when I suggested the Northern Powerhouse Minister be in
yeah,
cabinet.
absolutely.
That's when
Absolutely.
That sounds like Boris Johnson saying he's got a Muslim great-grandfather.
You talked about how you'd all love to get on your bikes and have your... The idea, I think brought in by your new boyfriend, John Prescott, of regional assemblies was...
It's my ex-boyfriend.
Absolutely rejected by the electorate. They had no interest. Regional assemblies stank the house out. I go on. You talk about 3.2 billion more pounds being spent in the south. Can I tell you what we're spending 56 billion pounds on? A bloody stupid railway line that nobody in London wants. They don't want it in Camden, HS2, they don't want it in Euston, they don't want it in Buckinghamshire, so that we can connect up to Birmingham and then up to Sheffield and then across. And my final point, have you been to Manchester lately?
I have,
Have you
indeed.
been to Leeds lately? These cities are
But before
phenomenal.
you go on to your final point.
Please, I have been quiet. They are phenomenal. And every government department, I think I pay my tax to Bradford, I licence my car in Swansea.
Can we send the politicians up north, please? Can we send the politicians
No,
at least up
they
north?
need to be down here because
Why?
the Department of Culture, Media, Sport is
They can
here,
move
because the
up
Department
as
of
well.
Transport is here,
Before-
because all the departments are here.
Before I yield to Trevor, I must reiterate my point. I am being deadly serious that you must have the Northern Powerhouse Minister in the cabinet so that the North is properly represented in a place where decisions are being truly made.